Welcome to the Carousel of Happiness podcast. I'm your host, Nick Alexander. Last time around, we heard the poetry of the carousel from Bert Rashbaum.
Begging for some answer to a question barely born in one so young. Why does the ride have to end?
Before that, we heard about George Blevins Day from the man himself, who called the beloved holiday
and a totally unnecessary and uncalled for.
George's humble take is challenged by this recap of the event from the Carousel's assistant director, Sarah Bishop.
I did go to George Blevins Day. Super cute. Scott carved these crows and had this whole setup. It was so fun, and we had quite the turnout. Even the first day, it was really sweet. George's son flew in from Los Angeles to surprise him. So we sat with him.
That Scott who carved the crows is, of course, Scott Harrison, the carver and founder of the Carousel of Happiness. Like Sarah, Scott only has glowing accolades for George.
He helped me with each animal because I'm not a 2D artist. Mm-hmm. I draw stick figures. So I needed him to do sort of a blueprint of each animal that I could go by to carve. And so he did that, and I thought it was about time for him to get some attention for all that he's done. And he's a great cartoonist, got a great sense of humor. His book, The Turtle and the Ladybug, small little book that we sell here, and it helps people deal with grief.
Oh, okay.
So it's an illustrated book, but it's really useful for adults as well. It's one of my favorite books, and it's a 15-20 minute read.
Nice. But with George Blevins Day in the books, or out of books as it were, we shift our focus to George's longtime friend and collaborator, Scott. Scott Harrison met me upstairs at the carousel last month, and he brought with him something, the mechanism for a music box.
Not the music box that I had in Vietnam, but the same tune. Mm-hmm. And it was an inspiration for this whole project, without me actually knowing it at the time. But it was a tool I used in Vietnam to try to handle war and the situation I was in.
We talked about the similarities between music boxes and carousels, how the former helped Scott to relax, reboot, and renew, and how he hopes the latter can do the same for others.
I do want the carousel to be useful to people in the sort of don't delay joy sense, but also in a reflective sense. Sometimes I like for it to be a tool that allows people to do a reboot, just for the moment, even for 3 minutes or for half an hour, watching people have fun. People need that, and I like it to serve that role.
I found the interview powerful. Scott talks about trauma, grief, healing, and not healing. Scott will also talk about the fellowship he shares with other veterans and how his most recent carving project continues to give his life purpose. Stay tuned afterwards to hear what's next for the podcast, including upcoming episodes. After that, Sarah and I catch up on our summers and the carousel events closing out summer on a high note, the paint and spin and our Carnival of Happiness at the Nederland Farmers Market. Sarah herself is headlining the live music at the Farmers Market this Sunday, August 16th.
This is the letter I hope you never read.
I have a feeling you should be there. More info is in the show notes. Now, in the spirit of Don't Delay Joy, let us begin with today's story.
Let me start it. Let me just start it here, because the way I've got it, let me get it to the beginning. And then we'll set it up. So,
was that about the length? That was more or less the song you listened to?
yeah. This is not the mechanism because I was wounded and I left Vietnam with nothing.
Okay. Yeah.
But I got this off the internet.
I'm glad you did. Was it more or less?
It's exactly the tune.
Wow. And is it Tristes, or do you know how to?
Tristes. It's a etude. It's from Chopin.
Yeah. Because I think I read it in the Carousel of Soul book.
Yeah.
It's a very, it's a long melody and a complex one. It's got some of the harmonies or tones. I'm like, what is that interval? And it probably was good not to have a really simple nursery rhymey song. That was one that had some meat on the bone for you to kind of listen to, I guess.
Yeah. It's a great piano tune.
I was going to say, well, when you listen to it, what do you think when you hear that?
I listen to it all the time. It does the same thing. It just relaxes me, brings me down a few steps. Yeah. It's been so long, and I've had such a long association with it while I was in the Marines that I don't really go back there. Now I just use it as a way to, relax. Yeah. And I've got other music boxes as well. So it's just a tool, to slow down.
What do you think inspired your sister to send you, of all things, a music box to Vietnam?
Growing up in Texas, I was close with my sister, and she knew that I had a love for mechanical music and music boxes. I don't know where that came from, but I did. She also knew, as I sent letters home while I was in Vietnam, that I was having a hard time of it. I was a machine gunner and then a machine gun squad leader along the way. And I just, obviously over my head, I was 18 and then 19 in Vietnam. And so she sent me a music box just to help me calm down. I didn't ask her for it, but she was right on in doing it. And so I would, she sent me a mechanism, not a box. Mm-hmm. The difference is that a box helps the mechanical mechanism resonate and you can hear it better. Mm. If you just have the mechanism not attached to anything, you can only hear it when you put it up to your ear, right at your ear, which worked for me because in between firefights, I might be in a ditch or a foxhole or something like that, and certainly didn't want it to be heard.
Sure.
Sometimes hiding, So in between firefights, it's when a lot of soldiers and Marines, combatants, try to relax. You just can't survive on constant adrenaline flooding your system. It just doesn't work. Yeah. You have to settle down, and sometimes that's done just by closing your eyes or looking at a picture of your mother or your girlfriend. In my case, I used this music box mechanism to take me out of the war and help me visualize a happier place, a meadow with a merry-go-round and families having a great time, kids playing, just the opposite of people trying to kill each other. So I used that for months while I was in the field. The whole time I was in Vietnam, I was in the field, never in a village or a town. And I felt like the mechanism and that visualization helped me survive the war mentally And when I had a chance, which was quite a while later, once I was back in the United States, and I had a situation where I had shop space, which I built for myself when we came to Nederland, I was able to see what I could do to try to create a real carousel.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing to me the similarities between, the small music box and the way it spins around and makes music and goes in, about the same, there's a similarity to the carousel, and then certainly to that vision you had then and where we're sitting right now.
I like another similarity, I believe, is that people come in to this carousel often without knowing it's here. But in the summertime, we get a lot of out-of-state and out-of-country visitors who are going hiking and camping in Rocky Mountain National Park or other, mini trailheads. They come to the crossroads. Nederland is a crossroads. If you come up from Boulder, you have to make a decision, go north or south, and often it's a place to get out of the car and have a coffee or lunch or whatever. And they come in, and I like to think that the carousel is kind of a reset, sort of like how I used the music box in Vietnam. In a way, it serves as kind of a reboot for families and individuals who are just tired of what they've been doing all day or a couple of days, and they get to put a smile on their face and do something unexpectedly pleasant.
Yeah, I think definitely see that on a daily basis here. There's something too, this world is a busy place and there's so much to do, and I'm guilty of this where I want to be being productive, I want to be doing something. Well, on the carousel, all I can do is really hold on and sit there and take it in and look around. And so I can't make progress on my laundry or on my to-do list. And I think that's if it's 3 minutes or however long it takes, that's a really powerful reset for a lot of people, I think. Just to not do something for a bit.
Yeah. I totally agree. I'm 78 years old, and I still have a hard time not reviewing my productivity at the end of each day. I've always been like that. There's no way to be productive on that carousel. You're going around in circles. You're not going anywhere. You're not doing anything other than just being silly, riding. So it's a good way out of that that sense of being useful or doing something useful, which we all need to moderate these days, especially.
Well, talking about how the music box was healing, this journey's been healing. Right above the entrance to the carousel, there's that Nietzsche quote, which I believe is, "We have art so that we're not destroyed by the truth." Is that? I don't know if that's you who chose to put that quote up there. I've always found that to be very powerful. And would you have anything to say about that quote or why it's there?
Sure, I did decide to put it up there and in a prominent place so that when you come in, it might help you slough off the real world for a few minutes. All art, obviously not just carousel, sculptures, can help us not just move away, but have an understanding of our real world anxieties and realities. So I think it's a great quote, and I think it works perfectly for a carousel.
It's something we experience here at the carousel now, but when you were listening to that music box or when you were carving the carousel, was the process of listening then or making the carousel also a way to maybe face the truth without being destroyed by it?
Yes. It's we can't go through life enmeshed or anxious about all the horrors in the world. We definitely need to do things to stop what we can at the scale that we can. And that should be a consciousness for all of us, activism, etc. But just to survive, to personally survive, we have to have off-ramps and places, whether it's a hike with the dog or camping trips or whatever, where we separate ourselves from just the horrors that are faced by people around the world. So, yeah, I hope the carousel in a very small way helps in that.
Well, I think it does. One thing, I was here on Memorial Day, and we had some visitors from Ukraine, and there are so many veterans here. It was amazing, and I think a real highlight of it was all the veterans speaking together afterwards. Do you find solace in just making connections with other people who've been through similar things to what you've been through on the battlefield?
Of course, I do. I see it's something I can understand, the sorrow and the grief and the ways to survive that grief speak to me, from combat veterans. I love to get together every so often with vets, and we help each other. So I'm always moved by our Memorial Day event. It just never gets to where there's a distance between me and it. So I always get emotional, and I get emotional hearing other people talk about it.
Yeah, it was a pretty raw event, and one I hadn't been to until this year, but
my dad was a fighter pilot, a Marine fighter pilot in World War II. And a couple of times I saw him get emotional. Always about the war. And as a kid and a teenager, I would wonder, hasn't it been enough time to where you can separate yourself from the horrors of war, and can't you get over it? And you can't. You just can't. No matter what, we don't need to talk about just war, but trauma, horrific situations, sexual abuse, rape, domestic abuse. That trauma comes back unbidden, and it just is the way it is. And you see that at Memorial Day when I ask people to say the names of people they're remembering, and they'll be perfectly fine until they grab the mic, and then they can't get the words out. So,
yeah. If time heals all wounds, then how come they still feel so fresh? And it does help. It does heal, but then, and I think it's healthy still to still feel the grief and sorrow for what we go through years and years ago. Because if you don't see it, if you don't look at it, then it still comes back, whether or not you're conscious of it.
Sure.
Like you said, it comes back unbidden. And while the carousel is a very happy place, it's never shied away from the trauma and the sorrow and the grief, and it's all mixed in together in one under one roof. Did you ever wonder maybe I should just make this into a happy carousel, not put up the names of fallen service members on the wall. Just keep it simple and fun and plain. Well, don't make it emotionally complicated, make it just what we might consider kid-friendly.
I never considered that because I started this project as a way to deal with my experience in the war. It was a sort of a visualization of what helped me in combat. So I never wanted it to be a silly project. I'm not against silly projects. It's just for me, I didn't want to spend my time doing a Disney ride.
Yeah.
And again, good for Disney
They
rides.
seem to be doing all right with that.
But I stumbled into the realization that in order to deal with one's trauma, one needs to help others and go from self-absorption to helping others with their situations and problems, etc.
Since my interview with Scott last month and recording his music box, I've started ending our episodes with the song. Something about it seems to help signal the ending of something. It invites a little time to pause, to reflect, digest, and then look ahead. So it's an ending, but also there's a sense of beginning again, a reboot. In a future episode, I'm going to include more from this conversation, including his account of the first animal he carved, Rabbit the First, and we'll go all the way to talking about his most recent work, which is taking the spirit of the carousel and taking the message global.
Animals, each animal representing a continent or a landmass, and one animal represents this Canadian goose, represents.
That's going to have to be another cliffhanger for now. Like with George's freedom riding, you'll have to tune into a future episode to hear how Scott's story continues. For now, you can find Scott's books, Carousel Soul, and Haiku Poetry at the Carousel of Happiness gift shop or on our website, which is linked in the show notes. While you're there, follow or subscribe the Carousel of Happiness podcast to ensure that you don't miss these upcoming episodes. On deck, we've got Sarah Bishop and I continuing the conversation about catharsis in art through our personal stories of songwriting in the face of grief and trauma.
Sometimes we have things inside of us that just need to be let out.
Then there's C.B. Miller, carousel operator and host of our Paint and Spin. Among other things, we'll talk about the therapeutic power of art and how AI falls short.
AI cannot replicate the therapeutic process of creating stuff. Like sitting down and just being able to express yourself on a page or in song or just any creative medium, it's healing. It's just completely therapeutic. And, typing a prompt into ChatGPT doesn't replicate that.
Yeah, it's almost like, it's a shortcut, but you're taking out the best part.
Yeah.
Then we get together with social and emotional learning expert Betsy Epp, who works with parents, teachers, and youth across our community to develop healthy relationships, coping mechanisms, and communication skills.
And I don't play favorites with the artwork that Scott has created. But the mermaid is really the only one for me.
If you're a parent or guardian in the Nederland area who wants to learn more, check out Betsy's monthly parenting sessions at Nederland Elementary School, Mountain Strong Families, which starts on September 1st this year, 2026. There's a link again in the show notes. Now, let me catch up with Sarah and hear what's coming next.
Yeah, so for the farmers market, it's every other farmers market. I think we're the second farmers market of the month that we're there, and we have the Carnival of Happiness where we have carnival games for just for the young and the young at heart, just to come and enjoy, just activities and just ways to let the community know that we're here, there, and everywhere. And we're also at the Nederland concert series. I think there's only one more though of that, and we will be there.
Great.
And I think it's just it's a way just to kind of just stay connected with the community and have some fun.
Nice. Well, I love that. I'll make one of those, and I'll put some notes about all the upcoming stuff in the show notes.
Thank you.
Oh, great. Maybe you could tell me too about this paint and sip that's coming up. Would you be able to quickly?
Well, it's a paint and spin.
Paint and spin. That's right. Not sip.
There's no sip. Well, if you brought your water, you can, or
some hot tea.
iced tea or whatever you'd like, you can sip. So we are hosting our very first paint and spin. Our operator, CB, has grown up with the carousel. Her dad worked here for a good amount of time and was a great contributor. And they mentioned that and we know this as well, is that they are an illustrator, an artist, and that they would like to share their gifts. And so we are creating this event so that CB can share their gifts and then also give something to the community where they can come and learn and just express themselves and however they see fit and take home a token of their expression.
Well, it's kind of inspiring to me. I remember sitting in this room talking with you for our very first interview, and you're talking about these ways the carousel can be more than a carousel and can serve other purposes. Well, now we've got tea parties and we've got the paint and spin, and it's just pretty fun to see that coming to reality. Yes,
and it is, it really is about how the carousel can, in its entity be the carousel, but also inspire joy in other ways as well. So I'm very excited about the upcoming programming that's coming. And it's, and I can't really speak of it now because it's still in its incubator phase, but just stay tuned because we got some things coming out.
Oh, all right. Well, you got my interest piqued. That's going to have to be another cliffhanger for now. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Your attention is an invaluable resource, and I'm honored to have it, but I'll leave you to it now. In the meantime, take care, be well, and as we like to say at the Carousel of Happiness, don't delay joy. And we'll see you next time around.
Beginnings and endings are only pretendings. I'll see you next time around.